Hey guys, welcome to the Salem Business Journal podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Peone. Thank you to Compass Visuals and Hotel Salem for sponsoring the podcast. Appreciate you guys. And with me, I have Chris Dudley. Chris, welcome in.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Appreciate it, Jesse.
Yeah, of course. So you're running for governor right now.
I am off running, going hard, and it's great energy out there. Feeling really good. Everybody's got to get their ballots in by May 19th, and we'll get this done, and then on to the general.
Oh gosh, that must be kind of stressful.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's our state desperately needs a change, and in my opinion, desperately needs somebody from the outside. Can't keep doing what it's been doing. Can't keep coming back with the same old. The partisan politics is not working, and our state is at a critical juncture. I believe we're at a tipping point right now, and we have to make changes, and we have to do so quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's really cool that you're running.
Yeah.
I think it's I remember back in 2010 when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
And one of my really good friends, Brody, he lives down the road from
Yeah.
me. He's like, "Oh, my uncle's running for governor." And
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Yes.
I was like, "That's insane."
Yeah.
And so it's pretty cool to see, to see it again. And you mentioned that you think that we need an outsider. Why do you think that we need an outsider running?
I think it's apparent the partisan politics is not working.
Yeah.
Where the sides won't talk to each other, won't work with each other. And if you're going to come up with serious solutions, you have to have somebody that can get both parties at the table and come up with serious solutions. And our state's at a critical time. When you're 50th, dead last in the nation for fourth grade testing, bottom 5 overall for education, 47th for job creation, 46th or 48th for place to do business, depending on which study you look at. Number 1 in mental illness and drug addiction. Portland's ranked 80th out of 81 cities as a place to invest in right now. I don't think you're exaggerating when you say we are at a critical time for the state of Oregon, and we have to make some decisions. And to me, it's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. And here we are. We can't keep doing the same thing over, and we can't have a rematch of 4 years ago. We know how that ends. It just, to me, we have to shake it up, and we need someone from the outside who can bring people together, and we need somebody who has a business background. We haven't had a governor that's had a business background in over 40 years, and I would argue it shows. And we have to have somebody who has the ability to bring people from different backgrounds together.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is so at Dorchester, I was doing quick interviews with everybody who would come on.
Yeah.
And we did one quick one when you and I sat down for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And during that conversation, you talked a little bit about your business background, and then we were talking about even like the time value of money, which I don't think I've ever heard a politician talk about ever. And so I did want to say that I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And I do agree that I think having a business mindset is extremely helpful when you're drafting policy decisions, a lot of which affect businesses.
Yeah. No, I definitely think so. And we were talking about, so businesses will tell me that, affordable housing is an issue, where we need to get it more affordable. When a developer says what used to take 18 days to get approved now takes a year and a half.
Yeah.
To me, that's, again, another area where you need a governor and legislators or leaders who understand business, understand that if you delay a project by them, it's going to make it exponentially more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's just the time value of money, having labor on hold, projects on hold, or capital will go elsewhere. And that's what's been happening. And I've said as governor on day one, I'll put in that you have to get the projects approved by, permits approved by, 60 days, 90 days, 30 days, depending what it may be. Or you come into my office to get it resolved, because we have to get things moving if we want to. We have to grow as a state. We have to grow our economy to be able to afford the services that we want. Right now, we're in a place where we're accepting of a stagnant to shrinking economic pie and keep fighting over more and more taxes out of that pie. It doesn't work. And it's starting to cycle the wrong way, where you get less revenue, less growth, and therefore less services, which make it worse, and kind of going around. We need to reverse that and reverse it quickly.
What I hear you say is, because the way things are kind of working right now, it seems like, is we have a bunch of businesses leaving because just the tax burdens. I mean, why would you, like, if you have the ability to move, it's kind of like people expect people to buy, made in the USA just because it's made in the USA out of patriotism.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people expect businesses to stay out of statism,
Yeah.
or, just being proud to be in Oregon. And there is that aspect, right?
Sure.
I mean, if I have the choice to buy a product that's made in the USA versus not, they're the same price, then why wouldn't I? But in reality, it's the same reason why people shop on Amazon, instead of, shopping local every time. It's just the statism can only go so far.
It can only go so far. And I would argue that I'll pay more for made in the USA.
Yeah.
But there's going to come a limit, like with everything.
Yeah.
I'll pay more for something made in Oregon, made local.
Yeah.
I want to support local.
Yeah.
But there becomes a limit.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have a lot of businesses who, love our state because, the state made us. We grew up here. We, invest here. Our family's here. But for a lot of businesses, there is a breaking point where, I will leave, at some point.
Yes.
And it seems like recently in the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of businesses reach that breaking point.
Well, it's scary. I was talking to friends with and CEO of a company in Redmond, one of the fastest growing companies in Oregon. They build for data centers, and they were looking at expansion. They brought in consultants. Consultants said Oregon's one of the worst states. They may have even said the worst, but it was certainly one of the worst states for you to expand. And they ended up expanding in Texas and Tennessee.
Yeah.
Now,
why was that? Did they say?
I don't know if it was just the cost or if it was the regulations, a combination of both. I didn't get into details of the report, but the report was the outside consultant, who's a national consultant, said you should go anywhere but. And they ended up Tennessee and Texas, where they were actively being recruited. As I've been traveling the state, and literally we've driven over 10,000 miles in the last 14 weeks, doing roundtables, meet and greets in all 36 counties, and talking to different companies. And one down in Medford's going to Texas, is being actively recruited. Another one I'm talking to is actively being recruited by another state where the governor is calling them and saying, "Come here. I'll meet you when you get here. Show you around." And so we need that, where our businesses feel like they can't even get a hold of the governor's office.
For sure.
There's no support there, and they're being actively recruited to go elsewhere. I don't think you have to match dollar for dollar incentives in other places, but I think you have to be in the same ballpark, and more importantly, you have to have a relationship and have to work with businesses to have them want to stay here.
So Oregon was the only state on the West Coast that saw a job loss this last year. So we lost about 18,000 jobs, and I believe most of those were from Nike and Intel, whereas even California and Washington hadn't seen that amount of job loss. So like for you as governor, right, while yes, it's great to point out that Oregon's a bad place for business, and yes, we are experiencing job loss, which these other two states next to us aren't, despite the fact that they also have various like similar policies in different ways. What would be your plan to help fight against that?
Well, on day one, you say Oregon's open for business, and that doesn't sound like much, but it actually is, where businesses know they have an advocate, have a friend in the governor's office. And I will say on date that I will not allow, right now businesses are wary of what's coming out of the next legislative session, what craziness is coming next. And I can say as governor, I will veto anything that doesn't make sense in that regard, and you'll have a friend there. That changes the mindset right away, and then you start making changes, whether it's looking at taxes, whether it's looking at regulations, or one of the biggest things, the power that the governor has is the power of appointment. There's close to 300 boards and commissions in the state of Oregon.
Yes.
Agency heads, judges, and not one has been appointed by a Republican governor because it's been since 1986. So it's restoring some balance to those agencies, boards, commissions, and saying we're gonna be pro-business. We're gonna be supportive of business. As of traveling the state, commonly hear that Oregon's gone from business unfriendly to business adversarial, and change that mindset. And we have to do that. And then once we start changing that field, creating a better environment, I look forward to recruiting and attracting businesses from Washington, from California, other places to come here, because Oregon's a great spot. We have so much untapped potential. In my opinion, the most beautiful state in the country. We have incredible natural resources. We have so much going for us that I think we can turn it around.
Well, what's your plan to do that, to attract in these other companies?
Well, I think you have to just say, hey, here, come here. Here's what we have. We have.
Or now, if you say, come here, here's what we have,
well, you
it
have
ain't
to
that
change
good,
it. Yeah,
so.
you have to change. You have to say we are working towards. And by the way,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. A friend of mine owns, his family as he's part of a family that they buy commercial buildings, hotels up and down the West Coast. And he had told me, he had texted me a while back, and he had said, I used to love Portland, but I've looked at 4 opportunities in the last 2 years, and we've passed on all of them. And
Really?
he said it's not the condition on the streets now, because that's reflected in the price. So a lot of these buildings are 70% discount. 60 cents. Big Pink sold at 12 cents on the dollar.
Well,
So
even the what's that big hotel downtown? The Ritz-Carlton is for sale now too.
yeah. And things are on fire sale. But he said, I'm passing. And he said, it's not the condition now. I know that. It's reflected in the price. It's, I will not invest until I see a will to change.
Yeah.
And so I think when you come in and say there is a will to change, we're looking to change things, I think that's when people come in. They see a light at the end of the tunnel and say, hey, this is 70% discount to what it was just 6 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm going to buy.
Have you been to Vancouver, Washington recently?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's funny when you say that about the will to change. I've talked about that a lot, because in Salem, I believe that like Salem's kind of in a spot right now as a city where there's that light at the end of the tunnel. Like it's been a rough patch, but there's the desire to be better here that I think is pretty unique in Oregon.
Yeah.
But that's similar to Vancouver, Washington, because Vancouver, Washington was not the place to visit.
No.
Even 5 years ago?
Yeah.
No.
But
it started with they had the desire and the will to change and be better, and then the money started coming in, and then the dreams started happening. People started building things and creating, and they built an environment for that to happen. And then now when you go to Vancouver, Washington, and you walk down the waterfront, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and
it's thriving.
They're a direct beneficiary of what Portland did.
Yeah.
Because you'll see Portland's business go down in Clark County. Multnomah County goes down, Clark County goes up.
Yeah.
And it's correlation where capital has options. And it decided to go to Vancouver rather than stay in Portland.
Yeah.
And those were a lot of and now the good news in all this is Portland's gotten to where it is by unforced errors. It's not like where the Rust Belt, when you talk about cities that have gone through these economic doom loops where revenues go down, so now you have less money for services, so more and more people leave.
Yeah.
When it happened in the Rust Belt, a lot of that was caused by structural issues happening in the United States.
Yeah. You mean like manufacturing?
Like manufacturing and the autos and everything else. Here, it's unforced errors. It's like we keep shooting ourselves in the foot and reloading, and it's and it's the condition on the streets.
Yeah.
It's allowing our streets to get to the point where they are.
Yeah.
It's driving out businesses with the layer on taxes, where now the tax rate in Portland is second only to New York City in the country.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Literally crazy. You can have your viewpoints on taxes, but everybody would have to acknowledge there is an upper limit and lower. There is a range.
Well, we do need some, right? I mean, and like there are some people who don't believe you need any taxes. We're not going there right now, but like you do need taxes, right? You need a tax base. You got to pave the roads. You got to maintain the bridges. We got to make sure that those streets stay clean.
Yes.
But like there's also like a point to where you're suffocating people so much that we can't grow.
Yeah.
It's like if I gave you a loan, for example, and I'm just chugging on so much interest that you're never able to pay it back because you're spending all the money on the interest.
Yeah. No, it's just gotten, and it's interesting that in Portland, so you'll have those who are maybe more conservative, who are don't like the high taxes for a variety of reasons. But I'm hearing it on the left too, where they don't like the high taxes because they don't see they don't feel like they're getting the benefit from those taxes. We're not getting, if you walk around Portland, you're saying we're not getting the benefit of paying 13 point whatever % per year, second only in New York City. It's where is the money going, and what are the benefits that are there, and you're not seeing it.
Well, not just that, we don't have the money to tax that much. I mean, New York
No.
City's at least got the money to tax
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
or San Francisco, or some of these other larger cities.
No, we can't get away with that at that level, and it's a problem for our state, and we have to change that mindset. We have to change that mindset where we're just going to kind of the answer to every problem is more taxes, more taxes, more tax. You can't do it. You have to grow, and I would argue less taxes, more growth is what we need right now for Portland, for Salem, but for our entire state.
So for the last few years, our current governor, Tina Kotek, and, kind of our state as a whole, has been kind of following the same philosophy in the same direction on taxes and spending in Oregon as a whole. Mm-hmm. And within the last few months, she put together the Prosperity Council. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to go into this for a second, right? So she did appoint, Tim Knope.
Yep.
Did I say his last name right?
Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
she appointed Tim Knope, great man,
Yep.
and also someone who she often butts heads with, right? To head this committee, this council. But it also decided to do this 6 months before an election.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I guess I kind of want to hear your thoughts on that. Because, we're not going to hear anything from this Prosperity Council until conveniently after the election. And so, do you think that, voters are going to buy that that's a real move? Do you think it's genuine?
Do I think it's genuine? Absolutely not. I mean, it was so blatantly political. If you do this in year one, then okay, hats off. You're trying. You're obviously not an expert or don't have a great understanding in economics and business.
Yeah.
You're getting people to help you. Applaud. But when you do it, you announce it a week before you announce re-election. It was such an obvious political move.
Yeah.
And then when you have those committee members, who are many of I know, and are very upset about what is going on, what's the first thing that comes out of the Prosperity Council? What's the first thing the governor signs and legislature approves is SB 1507 that delinked from the federal tax bill for bonus depreciation, QSBS, qualified small business stock, which by delinking that stopped projects that were in the works with the bonus depreciation. I know somebody who has one of the bigger commercial buildings in downtown Portland, had a $5 million project lined up. When they when they took that away, the project stopped.
That's
He said,
crazy.
I'm not going to do it.
Well, because imagine you have that much money already invested.
Well,
and it's more
they
worth
haven't.
it
They were getting ready to do it, and
Yeah.
they said it doesn't make sense without the bonus depreciation, which is happening across the United States. And then for qualified small businesses, those are startups. That's a venture capital, and that is I don't even think they really understood what they were doing. I don't think the governor knew what she was doing in this case, because it's not a huge dollar amount.
Yeah.
But those are for startups, for when you invest in companies that are high risk. As you know, in venture capital, 3 out of 10 make it.
Yeah.
And so it's a high risk. And so this is incentive, and it wasn't partisan. This was introduced by President Clinton and then reaffirmed by President Obama. So it's things that have been bipartisan in the past, and it rewards startups, creativity. And one of the things,
Which, by the way, is the founding. That's America.
well,
right?
it's
It's the
America
innovation,
and,
creation.
and Oregon and Portland in the whole area of the valley. One thing it's known for is its creative class. That we attract people who have creative mindsets, and which is great. Embrace it and take advantage of that. And let's have startups here. But instead, now we've put the stamp out that Oregon does not value startups. And so to get back to the Prosperity Council, first of all, I will not outsource the Prosperity Council. I will be the Chief Prosperity Officer. As governor, that is your role. And I don't think, yes, the recommendations will come through.
Yeah.
And it's painfully obvious we all know what they'll be, address certain things that have been done, and it'll come in after the election. And if she happens to be the governor, she'll ignore them and won't do anything with them, just as was shown by this past, where the Prosperity Council told her to not sign SB 1507, and she did it anyway. No. So I think the track record's pretty clear here, and it's unfortunate because when you're down, when you have a negative reputation for business, doing more things to reaffirm that is the exact opposite of what is needed right now.
Yeah. So what other recommendation, have you done anything else? So the Prosperity Council recommended for her to not sign that bill, correct? Was there any
the
other
Prosperity Council, and they've been doing they've been traveling the state,
Yeah.
and stating the obvious that Oregon is struggling for business. I mean, it's ranked as one of the worst states to do business in right now, and we have to change that. Again, the solutions will be somewhat obvious.
Yeah.
But will the governor act on it? No. And what's been shown is she won't. Another area that is going to be coming up, and I don't think people really realize the full impact of it yet, is the Climate Protection Program, CPP.
Yes. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, no, I know you were.
Yeah.
And it was it was done by executive order years ago, and it's by Governor Brown. And it could be an unmitigated disaster for the state of Oregon in that it is a potential estimated $5 billion tax that is coming in the future, next decade. What's really insulting about it is the revenues don't go back to the citizens. They go back to undefined, undeclared nonprofits. And so it's a way of getting around the legislature. And so as governor, that is something I will reverse immediately. The carbon tax, the carbon
explain that a little bit for people who aren't as familiar. So, the money's going to nonprofits.
They're going to designate nonprofits that are, in theory, battling climate change or environmental issues, and they're going to be politically favored nonprofits will receive the benefits of this.
Kind of how it always is.
And it's designed in a way that we're paying 5 times the level for carbon credits that California is, for example. It's just it was a way of getting around the legislature, poorly designed, and another way that will send the wrong message for businesses in Oregon. We have a state that we're already one of the lowest states for carbon emissions. We're blessed. We are absolutely blessed with our water energy.
Yes, we are.
And that was an advantage we've had, and yet we're trying to squander that advantage. That we have clean energy, and it's something we should embrace. I mean, I want a clean environment as much as anybody else does, or more, and I think it's incredibly important. But there's ways to do things that make sense, and this isn't one of them.
No, for sure. Well, and on that note, I appreciate you sharing that. We are a very beautiful state.
We are.
And
incredible.
So my tribe is the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde.
Yeah.
And out there, our nature's very important to us.
Yes.
It's a huge part of our cultures, hunting and fishing. Have you seen the stuff about IP-28?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's crazy. And, joke around with my wife that she says, because I'll say something's crazy, and she says, every time you say something's crazy, it gets passed. So I got to be careful. But it is crazy. It outlaws hunting, fishing. It would potentially take as many as 100,000 jobs. I've heard even more of that.
Yeah.
$1 billion in revenue. It will destroy ranching, destroy agriculture. It's just, you can't make this stuff up. And this is where, as governor, one of the powers you have is the power of the pulpit to talk about these issues.
Yeah.
And I will talk about it and show how bad this is. It destroy the Oregon way of life. It would be, it's just a poorly designed, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So you can't have ranching here, but you can order steaks from
someone else
from Idaho, or
which is
a
crazy.
neighboring state. It just doesn't make sense. And what's happened is Oregon has become a petri dish at times for crazy ideas for the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Because of our initiative process, because it's not as expensive to do here. And this is how you get things like Measure 110, to decriminalize drugs. This is how you get things.
That was an asinine decision.
It's nuts. I mean, who would just...
What's even
this
crazier,
is where the governor... This is where, lives are lost and are continue to be lost because of that decision.
Yeah.
And that's where you need that power of the pulpit for the governor to talk about this and say, this is a bad decision because and in this case, people who are addicted to hard drugs do not make rational decisions. When you're drug addicted, you're not making rational decisions to self-select to go to treatment. And that was kind of the premise on which it was sold. And it's it's not hard to figure out that when you're simultaneously defunding the police and legalizing drugs, that things aren't going to go well. And we're still paying the consequences of that, not just in loss from the economy, but from the lives that would have literally been lost. And it's so sad where we've gotten as a state with drug addiction. We have a drug addiction crisis in our state right now.
Yeah, well, and we also caused it. You know,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
No, it is crazy. It is crazy, and it has to be reversed.
Yeah.
And I've said, as governor, I will do everything possible. I will crack down and eliminate as much as power as I can. Fentanyl, the drugs, and I call it poison. The drugs you do once, twice, 3 times, and either kill you or do such damage it takes years to recover. Yeah. And I'm tired of walking around different places, whether it's Wallace Park here, or whether it's up in Old Town, or Delta Park, or Dirt World up in Central Oregon, where you're seeing people. You shouldn't know what the fentanyl fold is, where people are bent over and they can't stand up.
Yeah.
Or
honestly, it seems a little bit more efficient, you know.
What's that?
It seems more efficient, you know. Then I wouldn't have to go to bed. I could.
Yeah. Well, it's just I mean, it's become personal for me in that I've gotten to know. I've spent a lot of times in different homeless areas, and you get to know someone's story, how they ended up there, and then you find out a week later that person has died because of an overdose. Or when I'm out in Boardman, and a lady comes up to me after one of my talks and said, it's not just, and I was talking about cracking down on fentanyl, said it's not just in the cities. My granddaughter died last week because she thought she was smoking marijuana and it was laced with fentanyl. It's awful, and we have to change our approach to homelessness. The housing first model has not worked. We have to have a prevention and recovery model.
So walk me through this.
With prevention, the idea that we get the hard drugs off our street as much as humanly possible. Right now, I can walk down Broadway, and I did this a couple weeks ago, and watch a drug deal happen broad daylight, 10 o'clock on a Monday. We can't have that.
That's wild.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. We have to, the prevention side, make sure the kids, we're doing as much as possible to make sure that we're keeping out of schools, doing making people aware of the damage. I did a video where we showed with fentanyl, it was like a couple grains of salt. That it was that much that it takes to literally kill somebody.
That's insane.
It is insane. And so try to get it off our streets as much as possible, and then get people into recovery, and not stop the culture of just enablement, where we're just we're helping, but we're not really helping by just allowing someone the resources to stay on the street. That's not helping. We have to help either with the recovery, with the aggressive outreach where we're working with recovery, mental illness, a hand up where that's appropriate, or jail where that's appropriate, whatever it might be, and hopefully just actually help people by that aggressive outreach and get them on the right path. And we're not doing that right now.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on, so I guess we were talking about doing the recovery first and then shelter? Walk me through that again.
Recovery leads to shelter. And I'm not in favor of the low barrier shelter. I think we need a high barrier, because if you put somebody, and you're seeing this in different places where, and all it takes, it's kind of that, 15% can ruin it for everybody else. If you have drug addiction, if you have drug deals happening and someone's trying to get away from drugs, you can't have them together. And I've seen great outcomes in areas that are high barrier, where they don't allow drugs in the shelters. They're getting people back on their feet, getting them back into employment. And that's what we need to work towards. Yeah,
that's fair. Well, how would you plan on, so some of the other candidates that are in the primary right now have all been in the legislature. Well, 2 of them have. Then Danielle Bethel, she's a commissioner, right? So they're actively in the policies right now. You know, you're a businessman and from the outside, so you're not in the daily, the day-to-day of the policies. So how do you plan on using other people around you to help you with that experience? What's your game plan here, so that way you can be effective?
Yeah, you bring good people in, and you surround yourself with great people in the different areas. And I would argue that we don't need another legislator in the governor's office. We need an executive in the governor's office. It's an executive position. And I think that's something that's so clear, that we've had legislators, we've had the partisan politicians who can't get along with each other, can't stand each other. And that doesn't work for the state. You need somebody who can cross those lines, bring people together, have the ability to do that from an executive position and say, let's get the best people here and let's come up with solutions that make sense. I believe you need, I think that outside perspective right now is more valuable than the I mean, if the inside perspective is what you needed, we wouldn't be dead last and everything, you know. I mean, it's like we would be in a much better situation. But we actually need somebody with executive experience who can bring people together, has the ability to work across and bring work towards real solutions. And that's what we need at this present time. And understands business. We need somebody. I am dismayed by the lack of economic business sense that is in the legislature, in the governor's office right now. And we need a different perspective, and I think that's painfully clear.
So one thing that I'm sure you've probably heard as you've been going around is one pushback, you know, because I talk to a lot of people, hey, how do you think things are going? And I try to just listen. And one of the things that I've heard, you know, when it comes to you is the fact that, you know, you haven't been around for a little while. And I think that's one thing that, you know, I'm sure people would like you to, you know, maybe address or talk about.
I'm happy to. So I ran in 2010.
Yeah.
And it was the closest election in the past 7 years. It was kind of the sports equivalent. Lost in double overtime, had it won on Tuesday, lost on Thursday. And great experience. But afterwards, my wife and I, and our kids were young. Wife and I made the decision.
How old are your kids?
They were 7th grade, 7th, 6th, and 4th, something like that.
Yeah.
And the idea, my wife and I made the decision.
Are they good at basketball?
Yeah, they were good players. They played in college, so they were good players. But my wife and I made the decision that wouldn't run again until the kids were out of high school. And so it was a family decision. Then my wife got a job opportunity, and it was my turn to follow her lead. She followed me through my MBA career, business career, running for governor, and so I followed her. And then we came, but we always had a house in Oregon the entire time. Had business here, foundation here. So, and then been back here for, I don't know, came back 7 years ago, whatever it was. Came back a while ago. And so, but I was involved in Oregon the entire time, whether it was with my business. I was, and to give my background, I started a financial wealth management business here that's been in Oregon. I was CEO and chairman of the board of a medical device company in Beaverton. I've run a foundation for kids with diabetes for over 30 years that's based here in Oregon the entire time. So I've been involved and was always back and forth. But it kind of gets back to why people don't trust politics. Instead of being concerned where I lived 10 years ago, maybe they should be concerned how people are living today in Oregon. Maybe that's what we should be focused on. When we're literally 50th in education, when we're 47th in a place to create jobs, when half your state is living month to month, maybe spend a little less time where I lived 10 years ago, and why don't we, and this is what I'm doing, focus on how Oregonians are living today. That's what we should be doing. And that's, frankly, that's case in point why we need someone from the outside who's not just running because he wants a promotion, whose whole life is politics, I'm running because I'm not running to be someone, I'm running to do something and running to get things done. And that's what we need right now. We need someone who's coming in with, here's what we've got to focus on our core issues and get away from all these all this ridiculousness. And I've seen it, frankly, going through this race and with some of the stuff opponents are doing and the nonsense, and they're going back and forth, at each other and trolling on it's just like, I understand why you guys aren't getting anything done. And that's why we need someone outside coming in. I mean, it's like, it's almost like it's a game. And it's like, this isn't a game. These are people's lives. These are people's lives we're talking about. And as when you're running for office, you get to know the numbers in the back of your head. But it's not about the numbers. It's about the people, the stories behind the statistics. And that's what drives me. That's what gets me up every morning. where I see how Oregonians are struggling right now, and get away from the nonsense and let's focus on the core issues.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think that's a fairly good answer. But I guess my second question to that is, um, I guess are you looking to live in Oregon in the long run, win or lose?
Oh, absolutely. No, we're here. I mean, the reason I'm running is because I'm so frustrated with what's going on in our state.
Yeah,
And I'm running because our kids are sixth generation Oregonians.
yeah,
And eventually we're going to have seventh generation Oregonians.
mm-hmm.
And you want a state that our kids can A, want to stay,
Mm-hmm.
and B, can afford to stay. And that's what drives me. Want schools, want to send their kids to public school.
Yeah,
That's a concern of mine right now, where so many parents are saying, I can't send my kid to public school, either because of the worried about the quality of the education, or they're being worried they're being taught stuff that's away from what they should be taught. And so I think those are the core issues that drive me. Is we have to do better for the next generation.
yeah,
It's incumbent upon us. I'm running because I want to make meaningful changes, and I can't. It pains me where we've gotten as a state,
yeah.
and we can't continue like it's business as usual when you're in the bottom 5 of just about every category. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, Tina Kotek did say she wants to get us to the top 10.
In what?
In business,
Yeah.
business friendliness,
Yeah.
I think it
Well,
was.
and again, that's the lack. It's almost, I mean, it's kind of sad, but you can't just say, because I know at the some business council meeting or whatever, she said, well, I need you guys to start creating jobs. It doesn't work. You can't mandate it. You can't just
That's a
you
crazy
can't
way
just
to
say
go
you guys
about it.
just go do it.
Yeah.
You have to create the environment where it works.
Yes.
And there's that lack of understanding, and it's basically everything she is focused on.
Well, I guess a question on that. What do you see? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I was just going to say everything she's focused on, whether it's from the economy to homelessness to housing, has gotten worse.
Yeah.
And I really literally can't think of any metric that has gotten better under her reign. Whether you go past 4 years as governor or 12 years as in power as Speaker of the House, I can't think of anything that has gotten better. You can't say the environment because we have catastrophic wildfires every summer.
Okay,
You certainly can't say the economy, can't say housing costs, can't say affordability, can't say drug addiction, can't say schools.
We do have more socialist frogs.
More socialist frogs. Yeah, you got a point.
So we're number one in the nation.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah, so it fires me up a little bit because, again, this is where we don't need the partisan politics.
Yeah.
We got to get things. It's not a game. We have to have someone who's serious about getting solutions done.
Yeah. What would you be your plan to, be working with the Democrats? Because right now, they have a supermajority in both the House and the Senate.
They have a supermajority.
Yeah.
And one thing, I'm really proud of when I ran in 2010 was by running on a message that resonated across party lines.
Yeah.
We went from a super minority in both the House and the Senate to basically even, 30-30, 14-16. It was the biggest pickup in the history of the Oregon legislature, or at least in the past 50 years.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to do the same, run on a message from the top of the ticket that resonates across party lines. And my core issues are education, economy, livability, which is affordability and safety. Mm-hmm. And the idea, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Independent, Democrat, you want good schools, you want jobs available, you want your kids to be able to afford to live where they grew up, and you want safe streets. Those are the issues I'm running on. And I have the ability, I would say, unlike anybody on either side of the aisle who is running, to bring people together. And I think it's a real advantage to come in as an outsider right now. I don't have that partisan baggage and say, I'm here to I'll take the idea from wherever it comes. We need to have good ideas, and we need to turn our state around.
Well, I mean, that is fair, because I do feel like, one of the battles that, I think both Drazen and Ed would both face, is going to be, you're in the legislature and you are a Republican, and if that is the case, then Tina, it seems like Tina's just going to be running against Trump no matter what, no matter what she's doing, and so I see where you're coming from with that.
Well, they've led us to a super minority, and they've been there as we've the state has gotten worse. And while I applaud their fight, their
Yes.
efforts to fight against it, but we can't keep fighting and losing.
Yeah.
And we need to win. And to make change, you actually have to win the election. You have to change. You have to get out of the super minority. You can't just say we're fighting. That's great, but you got to win. At some point, you got to actually win, and that's what. That's why I'm running. If I thought
it doesn't mean much if you lose.
It doesn't mean much if you lose, and we need to win.
Yeah. Well, what would be your plan to, say you win the primary? What would be your plan to help bring them back into the fold?
I would welcome I think you have to do that. You have to. I would definitely welcome their help, and want to work with them. And I think that's something after the primary we have to do. We have to have the ability, and that's something did in 2010, is really bring people together on our side, but together as a state, and say let's go. And so I would absolutely welcome their help.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of touches on the same topic, it's going to be really extremely hard to win a governor's race without winning, I believe it's Multnomah and Washington counties.
Yeah.
The downtown
Portland
well. area.
I know it well.
So what would be your pitch to a voter who lives in Multnomah, Washington counties in Portland as to why they should vote for you?
Again, because I will run on those core issues that where do you live, where do you work, where do you play, good schools, jobs, affordability, safety, those core issues that, and not get caught in the weeds on the side issues that divide us so much. And I think that's so important. And I have a good reputation in Multnomah. I played for the Blazers for a number of years. I've had a foundation there for 30 plus years. Been involved in nonprofits. I've walked the walk of service, and I think that's important, as well as having the message. I literally got a call driving down here from someone who's a prominent Democrat in Multnomah, wishing me luck and saying there's Democrats rooting for me to get out of the primary because they want an alternative. And there's a sense that we need an alternative. We've got to get out of this one-party rule. Going on the same path that we've been going on. And it's not, you're not flipping when you have a governor from a different party. It's not that the entire state is changing completely and you're becoming Texas overnight. No, that's not the way. You're having checks and balances, and you're actually working together. And some of the most popular governors in the country, frankly, are ones who are in states where they're in the minority. Whether it's in Vermont New Hampshire with Governor Scott, or even in Kentucky with Andy Beshear, who's a Democrat. It's that check and balance and being able to work together. And I think that's so important. And being able to say, hey, Tri-County area, it's obvious that what we're doing is not working. Let's try another approach that will be willing to work with both sides of the aisle.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, you mentioned your nonprofit, your foundation.
Yeah.
You mentioned your foundation.
Yes.
Now you run a foundation that helps kids with diabetes. Is that right?
Yes, we've had a foundation for years, and we were involved on education. In education, we worked with other groups such as I Have a Dream. I've worked with SEI, Self Enhancement Institute, and others. But we're operating in the diabetes world, and we've done a basketball camp for kids.
Do you have diabetes?
I do. I was the first player in the NBA with type 1 diabetes. And,
wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Played 16 years I should probably give you my background. Played 16,
that's cool.
16 years in the NBA, 6 of which were here in Portland, which brought me here. And again, with the business background, I was Yale Economics.
Yep.
Then I went to the was Yale Economics. Then I went to the in the NBA. I was part of the Players Association. I was treasurer, negotiating committee. Worked on billion-dollar deals. We worked on healthcare, pension benefits.
So let's hit these one-on-one. So you were the head of the union for the NBA basketball players?
I was not the head of the union, but I was on the negotiating committee, and I was treasurer.
Okay. What did you do in that role?
Well, as treasurer, you work on and you do a number of things with the finances for the. But probably the biggest one that I think is that transfers is being on the negotiating committee
Yes.
for collective bargaining agreements.
Okay.
And it was literally, and by the way, I'm the first Republican to be endorsed by a union, 701, the union.
Oh, really?
I was just endorsed this weekend by them, and I take a lot of pride in that.
Wow. Okay, so
And-
tell people who the 701 union is.
They're contractors, engineers,
Yeah.
big equipment, getting
Yeah, like
projects
operations.
done, operations.
Mhm.
And they have an apprenticeship, which is amazing. They're
Mhm.
trained kids. They make sure that they're qualified to use that equipment. They have the best expertise from a safety perspective, from efficiency, from reliability. Businesses like to work with them because they know they're going to get jobs done on time, and they take care of the union. Takes care of its own. Takes care, and it allows them to have opportunities to support their families.
Yeah.
And that's something, as governor, that's what I want. I want people. I want the American dream. I want people to be able to find jobs where they can support their families. And I'm honored to have been endorsed by the union.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
And I think as Republican, I think it's something. I think it's been a missed opportunity at times with
Yeah.
Republicans. And there's this is a private union that takes no government dollars, that is doing great things. And to me, too often we get into the business versus labor. And to
Yeah,
me, it
I
should
agree.
be more let's get a win-win. They
Yeah.
need each other. And let's get it to situations, both want more growth, want jobs.
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting about that is I feel like the Republican Party has kind of changed a lot in the last few years to where, like, I think when I was younger, it seemed like the Republican Party was all the rich business dudes.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like it's kind of turned into like a lot of the working class.
A lot of working class. Yeah. No, and that's what, I'm comfortable in the top four, being in that role.
Yeah.
But I'm also comfortable hanging out with guys working. I feel more comfortable being working class doing that. I'd rather do that than
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. And so I think it's something that we need to embrace. And you want people who want to work hard to be able to succeed in the state of Oregon. And to
Yeah.
me, as I said, that is a win-win. Where you have good employees, hard workers who can get jobs done, businesses will come, and both will flourish.
Yeah. Well, fair enough.
Yeah. So getting
No.
back to so I was in the union, did that, and then afterwards I got my CFP, Certified Financial Planner,
Yep.
started a wealth management
old were you?
business. I retired from the MBA when I was 38, and
Okay.
so I had the economics background. I went to Yale, I had the economics background, and always knew I wanted to go into finance. And after
Yeah.
I did the CFP, and then went into wealth management, and then also was a CEO.
So this is post NBA.
Post MBA.
Okay.
Yes, post MBA. And then I was chairman of the board of and later CEO of a medical device company based in Beaverton as well. So I did that also.
Wow. How was that?
It was good. No, it was real good. And I led where our company got merged with Moda. And so it was a good transition, and now it's Modality X, which is part of Moda.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty crazy resume.
Yeah.
Well, how do you? That's one thing I mentioned to you last time that I wanted to learn more about. So your time as a financial planner, and then you said you were the CEO of the medical
I was
device
CEO
company?
of the medical device company for a while. The board had me step in and take that role. And then I took the transition from the company to stand alone to part of another company.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel like that role or some of these? What have you been doing since?
Well, that's pretty recent. I've
Was
still
it?
been doing the wealth management. The transition was 2-3 years ago, something like that.
Oh, well, that's not very long
No,
ago.
no, it's not that long ago.
So you're a
and
pure
then I've
bunch.
also been involved. I was involved with Rip City Forever, which was about keeping the Blazers in Portland.
Oh, so you've been around.
Oh yeah, I've been around.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you were the CEO of that medical device company
Yeah.
until like 3 years ago.
Yes.
Oh, for how long?
I did it for a year and a half. So I was chairman of the board, and then I was asked to
I haven't
step
been
in.
a CEO for a year and a half.
Yeah,
so that's
so-
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then, so since then, you're doing Rip City Forever, and
I
the goal,
did Rip City. And these were overlapping. I was asked by Marshall Glickman, who's the son of Harry Glickman, who who was the founder of the Blazers. After Paul Allen passed, we were trying to find an owner that would have Northwest connections.
Yes.
Once it was apparent that that would not happen, we formed Rip City Forever with a couple other people, the CEO of former CEO of Dutch Brothers, president of the Blazers, a couple other people coming together. And the idea there was to make sure that the city of Portland and the state of Oregon was aware of what was coming with the Blazers, that somebody was going to, there would be an owner who had no connections to the Northwest, who would buy the team, and the arena was over 30 years old. It would want renovations, and they should start thinking about that, be prepared for that conversation for a public-private partnership. And well, so we told them, the city and the state, to think, what is it you want? Don't just wait till they come to you with terms. Think of it and look at this as an opportunity, not a crisis. Somebody's investing over $4 billion into Portland. That's not happening anywhere else at this time or in Oregon. Look at this and say, what can we do here? Should we renovate? Should we build a new arena? Should we move the arena? Should we build up the area around it? But of course, we didn't do any of that. We just waited for the owner to come with their terms, and then basically put a gun to our head and said, take it or leave it, and we're taking it. And
that's insane.
It's disappointing on where, and again, to me, it shows why we need leadership, why we need a governor that has a business background, understands negotiations.
So when were these negotiations? Like, when did the Rip City Forever thing start? Like, when did you start this?
I want to say a year and a half ago, something like that.
Okay, and then can you kind of walk me through, because how did we get from the negotiations starting? Like, what happened in between? Did you have talks with the governor or with the legislature? How did those conversations go?
From our group, informed the legislature, informed the governor of what was coming, what to expect.
What did they say?
Well, they welcomed the input.
Okay.
And I think they appreciate it. And we had done a lot of work.
Well, they clearly didn't appreciate it that much.
Well, no, I think they did. But the problem was they didn't devote the time. And it's okay if you're not an expert in everything. Nobody's an expert in everything.
Yeah.
And to your point earlier, you need to bring in people around you who can help. And my fault there was they should have had more people around, help negotiate on arena deals, these big projects, and really understand it. And I don't think we did, and have the vision to really look at what is the opportunity here. And in my opinion, we didn't do that. And so here we are. We have a deal that I don't think is a good deal. In that I don't think there's enough money, public-private partnership, and there really aren't any private dollars. But even more important, it should have been ironclad that there's no way the team could move. And right now there is an opportunity for the team to move. They would have a buyout, but I think that should have been something that wasn't even on the table.
Yeah.
When Paul Allen in '95, when he did the Rose Garden, he had Steve Janik was the lead attorney. He was a prominent attorney in Portland who had a background in this area, and he had such a ironclad deal that Paul Allen could not move the team for 30 years. I feel like we should have done the same, at least done the same thing in this case, especially when you're going to put up $600 million towards a project.
Wait, so we're putting $600 million
towards renovating the Moda Center.
The Moda Center.
Yes.
Of public dollars.
Of public dollars. It's a combination of...
How much private dollars are they putting in?
None.
What?
Well, they'll argue...
Do they just not have the money for it?
Well, no, they'll argue, we bought the team for $4.25 billion. They'll argue that the arena was built primarily by the Blazers in the past. There's arguments for it, but again, this is where you need to have somebody who can negotiate and do a better, in my opinion, do a much better job in negotiations.
Well, see, I like to think of myself as pro-business, right?
Yeah.
But, at the same time, That sounds like a bad deal.
Well, and I think
Why are all these public dollars going to fund a private?
and the idea of in negotiations, you're allowed to make a counter.
Yeah.
You don't have to accept the first thing they throw. Hey,
Well, I mean, if I was him, I'd give that same.
oh, I don't blame them at all. I would too.
I would do
too.
that.
I would want the same thing. I make the same argument. I would use the leverage of the team moving possibility. But in my opinion, the state has a lot of leverage because if we went to Adam Silver, who's the commissioner of the NBA,
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, the state's willing to put in $600 million, city, state, county combined, $600 million."
Yeah.
If let the NBA know that, but all we're asking for is this, this, and this, it becomes a lot harder that leverage to move the team. So again, it's just that idea of we need people who have vision, and we
Yeah.
need people who actually understand the economics and can negotiate. And right now we're lacking all of the above.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
This is, after all, the Salem Business Journal,
Yep.
and as you might be aware of, we have two candidates that are from the Salem area.
Yep.
One of them being my own commissioner, the
Yeah.
other one being my own state representative.
Yep.
And I guess my question to you is, be two folks who live in Marion and Polk County, and to folks who live in the Salem area, why should they pick you over either Ed or Danielle?
Well, I think we need an outsider who has a business background and who has the ability to bring people together. And I think I've shown that. And somebody who can actually win a statewide general election as well. And in my opinion, I'm the only one running who can actually, and I've walked the walk.
Why do you think you're the only one who can win a statewide?
Well, I think you have to have the ability to resonate across party lines, and you have to be able to connect with people in Multnomah County. And I've had a background there, and I think that's invaluable, frankly. And running on messages that do resonate across party lines, not as partisan as others have been. And I think that's important. I think it's the right time for an outsider to come in. I think it's pretty apparent that career politicians are not getting it done. It's not happening. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't really need to.
Fair enough.
But,
and then real quick on the flip side, we already hit on this before, but I think it's a good way to wrap it up. For for the overall thing, right? One of the things you mentioned was your ability to go across party lines. Before, the more hardcore conservatives, why should they vote for you over them?
Well, because when you say you can talk to other people, it doesn't mean you're going to let your principles go. I'm not going to let my principles go, but I can have dialogue. And I think that's something that's important. I think you can be conservative. You can be you have your core values, core principles, but still be able to lead and be able to bring people of different opinions together and come to to get the ability to get things done. I think that's important.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's good.
Yeah.
One last thing. This one's extra credit.
Yep.
Have you spent very much time in Salem?
Yes, I have. I've got my nephew is the fire marshal here, and
oh, really?
I've got family here.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got in the greater Salem area, and absolutely.
Okay.
So,
well, good. So, where's your favorite spot to eat?
Oh, what did I just go to around the corner? Gosh, I'm blanking on the name right now.
What did they have?
Right around the corner.
What
It
kind
was
of food they
Mexican. It was pretty good.
What's the Mexican place around the corner?
No, it wasn't Margarita Express. I met Bud Pierce there a little while ago, and I'm trying to remember what the name. Anyway, but
It was a good Mexican place around
it
the
was
corner.
good Mexican place around the corner.
Okay. What do you like about Salem? Have you explored very much, or is it just mostly the capital?
That's a good question. It's the
Adobe. Did you go to Adobe?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think
Adobe's
that was
good.
Yeah, that was good. So I think Salem, like a lot of, it has that core, that core kind of fundamental historic component to it that I think is really cool. And I think building around it, and you're seeing other capitals that have been coming back across the country. And I think there's a real opportunity here to get people who have a vision to really push forward. And and it's a beautiful area. What's beautiful about Salem is you have the core city, but then you can drive 10 minutes away and you're,
Out in the Goonies.
Yeah. Well, it's, beautiful
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
So I think there's a great opportunity here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm excited to see where Salem goes, and honestly, our state. I mean, I think in the long run, I'm very optimistic. I think we're going to figure it out.
I am too, and I'm excited about your age group, and I'm kind of dating myself, but the next generation coming up and saying, hey, there's opportunity here. We've seen what's not working,
Yeah.
and there's a different way, and going forward and having that vision going forward of what it could be.
Yeah.
And seeing that, and that's invaluable, and I think we need that right now.
Well, honestly, I think we could use the help because
Yes.
I think what often happens is I think there's been like one generation kind of running our entire country,
Yeah.
and then there's like a bunch of people who just kind of checked out,
Yeah.
and then there's
Yeah.
like every now and then you'll get bits and pieces of people, of good leadership. But I think what we're seeing on the national stage is kind of a good representation of the lack of leadership we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think
as a whole.
And to your point, I mean, I see my job is setting the table to work.
Yeah.
Don't start with the idea that everything's answer is going to be no, but it's like, how do we get to yes? What makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And what can we do here? What's the vision? And really be creative and help those up and coming with the vision for across our state. And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about. As governor, I've said I'll be governor for the entire state of Oregon because so much of the state feels left out. And they feel like it's from Eugene to Portland, it runs the state. But we have a great state across the board, and it's outside of Portland as well.
See, we don't even feel that way. It's just Portland.
Yeah,
Portland
well,
runs the state.
exactly. Yeah. And so, even more of the state feels, it's just Portland and Tri-County area.
Yeah.
And realize we have great opportunities here. Across our state for businesses to thrive, and whether there's incentives from opportunity zones or different areas or whatever it may be, to really help other areas of the state take off, and we need a diversified economy across our state.
Yep, I couldn't say it any better.
Yeah.
Well, Chris,
Appreciate
thank you so
Jesse.
much.
Yeah, thank
you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
the podcast.
absolutely.
Hey,
No, I appreciate it.
thank you guys so much for listening, and of course, thank you to Compass Visuals and Hotel Salem for sponsoring the podcast. Appreciate you guys.